It's your boy Brian Redmond, and yes, we are back for another episode of the Relationship Rehab. I am trying to get my hold on. Got to make sure I got myself together here because I don't have myself together. And before I turn on this camera, I got to get myself together. So give me just a second to get myself together. Here we go. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. All right, so what's going on, y'all? I am so glad to be here yet again to do yet another show for you all. Let me get my microphone together. There we go. That's better. All right, yeah. All right, so I am glad you are here with me on tonight. Please click that like button. Please go on over here to that Rumble channel and click the thumbs up on that one there. And hopefully, let me see, what is this saying here? That's not correct. Why is that showing the wrong thing? There we go. Now that looks right. That looks way better. I don't know, what's something weird with my Rumble. I really want to try to figure out how to get the Rumble chat into my broadcast software because XSplit has been really dragging their feet with getting some integration with Rumble. I don't know what is taking them so long, but they really need to work on that. So without further ado, I wanted to go ahead and dive into tonight's show. Let me start with my favorite part of the show.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
Yes, indeed. All right, so 2024 election. I want to talk about that just a little bit before I get started. He says it's really cold, super cold in KC. Hope this hot topic warms me up. Hey, it's been cold kind of like everywhere, man, pretty much. Don't forget United Guns of America. Yes, sir. M on it. Also, what does this say? It's really been cold here in Kentucky. It hit the single digit. Oh, and close to the negatives. Hope y'all staying warm. Let me tell y'all something, man. I'm so glad I live in Texas. If you're ever down in Texas, look me up. If you're ever down in Texas, look me up. Am I right or am I realer? Man, it sure is a killer diller. If you're ever down in Texas, look me up. I love Texas. I swear to God, I wish I'd have moved here about 24 years ago. I would be so much further along in life. My God. But be that as it may, everything is in perfect timing. And I'm here now. And I'm glad I am. But yeah, Texas is even though the thing about Texas, because it's cold here, but it ain't crazy cold. It ain't 32 below. It ain't 58 below zero. And the thing about Texas that most people don't know, it'll get cold here, but it won't be cold long. What they say, what's that saying? Trouble don't last always. That's what it is here. So it's like, even when it gets cold like it is now, like it probably will be for the next few weeks, January, February, usually the coldest times. You know, it's like when it snow, they shut everything down, which is more than acceptable to me. And then when it gets like cold like this, it'll only be that way for a couple of days. And it's like earlier this week, it shot up to like 70. So it ain't like consistently cold like it is, you know, back in the Chi, cold in the morning, like it is in Michigan, cold in the morning. And it's like, yeah. But here it's like it touches and goes. It'll touch down for a minute, dip up, give you a couple of days to get your bearings, then it'll go back down. So I'm cool with that. But without further ado, one of the things that when I saw this video, and basically it's Piers Morgan on his show TV Talk, and he is actually interviewing Piers Morgan. I mean, not Piers Morgan. It's Piers Morgan who's actually interviewing Rick Rubin, Charlamagne the God, and a lady who is what did they call her? A Democratic strategist, I guess. Her name is Jessica Tarlov. And they were just talking about Biden and Trump. So it's like, shout out to my man Trucker C and all my truckers out there. Bah, bah. Hey, you know what? I'm going to get that trucker horn. Matter of fact, let me write that shit down on my little thing right here. Get trucker horn. I'm going to get that trucker horn, and then I'm going to give my shout out to my truckers, because I love y'all truckers out there on the roads at all hours of the day and night, making sure we get the shit we need. I have nothing but love for y'all, man. So yes, indeed. But yeah, so they were talking about this, and one of the things that I've been thinking about, and a lot of people have been saying this, and I believe this is the plan, to where it's one of those things where I believe that the DNC, they don't really have a plan B. They got more of a scam B. And what I think that they're going to do, which is what they've been hinting, what people have hinted at, and I think so too, I think that they're going to try to do, because it's like a lot of people think that they're going to try to last minute either come in with Gavin Newsom and what's her name, Michelle Obama ticket last minute, or they're going to come out of the blue with somebody else that's going to be able to run, maybe even put Kamala up there. But I believe that at some point or another, close to the election, Biden's going to take a turn for the worse, or something's going to happen with the Biden-Harris ticket. And I think they're going to couple that with a second pandemic, that whole disease X that everybody's been whispering about. Whatever it is, it's like they've been whispering about it now, but it's kind of just like with COVID, how it was just talked about at first, and then it was a hoax, right? And then it was like, oh no, wait, people are dying, and they started reporting all those fake deaths and all those fake COVID related deaths. They started doing all that shit, and next thing you know, we was in full pandemic mode, and they were shutting everything down and all that. I don't think they'll be able to shut down everything, but I believe that the main goal is going to be them trying to come with this new disease X thing, so that they can kind of say, we got to change the way we're voting. We can't make people come out to vote. And they're going to do something to where they can put the overlay for the underlay in, like they did before. Like I said, with the whole thing with the election last year, Joe Biden did win the election. I know that's hard to believe. He did win the election. However, I think that the people that voted in the election were not all true voters. So I think they padded the ballots, and that's how they got it, and that's how they did it. But I believe that those numbers that they reported are the numbers that that supposedly voted. But I just believe that there were a lot of dead people, a lot of old people that voted twice, whatever the case may be. They literally padded the vote. You ain't gonna tell me that fucking Joe Biden, right? This guy got most votes ever. You're not gonna tell me that. You're just not gonna tell me that. So yeah, it is what it is. But that was 3 years ago. We're moving into year number 4, and we got an election coming up in about 10 months. So with that being said, there's a lot of energy, a lot of vigor, a lot of life in the RNC, which I'm glad to see. But like I said, you never know what's going to happen. And because they're kind of pussyfooting along, it really leads me to believe, like, we don't know who the candidate is. Everybody's just saying Joe Biden, but they ain't came out. They ain't did no caucus. They ain't did no, hey, this is what we're doing. He's back and we go. They did none of that. So it's kind of one of those things where they just kind of, we just hang around, and then these last 2-3 months we gonna come with all this bullshit and throw it on the table and say, what we gonna do? We can't do nothing. What we gonna do? And I think that's gonna be the play. Either that, well, I don't think either that. I think that's gonna be the play, and they're just gonna say either we gonna win with that shit, we're doing the same bullshit we did last time, or we're gonna lose. And I think they realize that we can't ride this thing out forever, but that's kind of like the play that they gonna make. We're gonna give it a good old college try. If it works, great. And if it doesn't, hey, party's over and we'll regroup. That's just what it is. So I think that if they do come with that whole Obama ticket, I think that would probably be really, really challenging, because you got a lot of people that love Barack Obama. And you got a lot of people that's in love with the thought of Obama just being anywhere near the White House. And that's exactly what niggas is gonna think. Well, you know what I'm saying, man? I mean, if Michelle get it, you know, Barack, her husband, you know, it's pretty much gonna be Barack doing his thing again. You know, that's pretty much what it's gonna be. That's how niggas rationalize shit, because it makes them feel good. So it's like, I don't know how it's gonna plan out, but I'm telling you, those are a couple of the options that they have to exercise to try to get her involved some kind of way, and see what happens, and try to do the whole scamdemic thing again and see how that happens. So just be on the lookout, and don't be so surprised if it drops and it comes down like that. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move into the show. This is one of those things where I was really kind of puzzled to see that they had 3 people who, well, with the exception of Rick Rubin, he voted for Trump this last time, but the other time he was a Biden person. I mean, he was a Democrat. He voted for Hillary Clinton. So it's like, it's one of those things back in 2016. So it's like, it's kind of strange to see, you know, 3 basically Democrats or former Democrats talking about Donald Trump. But then again, everybody's talking about Donald Trump, because everybody know 45-47 is on his way back. 45-47. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get into the video, and we're gonna give it a little bit. I'm gonna give a little bit of my commentary.
Good evening from New York. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Whether we monarchist Brits like to admit it or not, the President of the United States is the single most important person in the world, commanding the world's mightiest military and holding the purse strings of its biggest economy. The President could end Israel's war in Gaza with a phone call, or decide if Ukraine gets the backing it needs to beat Putin. At least that's the general idea. But the current Commander-in-Chief is 81, seemingly going on 181 after life.
Yes, and it's like everybody's kind of taking shots at this dude Biden. I'm telling you, man, this whole age thing, it's like it used to be where they kind of, you weren't really allowed to take shots at this dude, but now it seems like everybody's taking shots at this dude. Like, it's perfectly fine to talk shit about Joe Biden. He old, he don't know what he doing, he's senile. But before, it was, he's the president, he's our president, and he's bringing everyone together. He ain't brought shit together but a bunch of rich motherfuckers to make more poor motherfuckers. That's all he done brought together.
Time of distinguished public service as a pragmatic politician, and in my view, a thoroughly decent human being, President Biden looks increasingly unfit for service. And with the president in visible decline, his re-election campaign is, well, transitioning. You might say its pronouns are changing before our very eyes. Mm-hmm. The 2 most important women in President Biden's life have been sent out to jumpstart the 2024 race. Wildly unpopular VP Kamala Harris said this.
We've got 10 months to go until the election. Mm-hmm. And increasingly, and you've seen it even just this week, we are all starting to narrow in on what this election will mean. Yeah. And it's going to be the choice between what is about respecting our democracy, what is about competence, versus chaos.
How is it that every time, what's so funny to me about what people actually, I mean, and this has just been the whole case since Donald Trump has been in office. We all know there's no presidency that's perfect, right? But every time that somebody says something bad about Donald Trump, or something that's supposed to be negative about Donald Trump, it's always something that is either a flat out lie, some shit that ain't happened, or it's some type of fear mongering, or it's something exaggerated. It's usually one of those three. And I don't know. I guess I kind of get why they're doing that, but it's like, that's always the plan. We either gonna say some shit that just flat out didn't happen and wasn't true. We're either gonna talk about something that's gonna be, we can say to make them afraid, or we'll just really, really, really exaggerate this whole thing. We'll blame something on him that is not his fault. We'll just exaggerate it. Oh, he said, like the whole dictator comment. Every single president that has become a president since, I would say, the last 10, 15 presidents have all been what Donald Trump was saying, or jokingly saying, dictator for a day. Right? And I get the fact that words matter, and the words he used, well, essentially, he's going to be a dictator for a day. And that's basically, any president has the authority and the power to pass executive laws. Executive legislation is one of the first things that a president does as soon as they take office. Joe Biden did it. Barack Obama did it. Donald Trump did it. George Bush did it. George Sr. did it. Bill Clinton did it. They all did it. So they try to make it seem like now, like this dude is really on some Xi Jinping shit. Like, he's gonna just take over. And it's like, that's not true. Like, I get the fact that what you're saying, you may have concern about it. Well, you may not just flat out like the way he said what he said. But it's not a thing to where he's gonna now just totally uproot the entire Constitution and our entire judicial system, our whole entire system of government in one day and become a dictator. The shit can't happen. Literally, it can't happen. So it's like, why would they then try to blow it up and make it seem like that's what's going to happen? The reason why they do that is because they try to make you afraid. That's exactly why they make this shit up. And it's like, it's ridiculous, dude. It's like, it's never going to stop, essentially. And that's like troubling to see a bunch of fucking adults saying that same shit, running the same playbook. And you can clearly see, yeah, they believe in this.
Well, the Vice President is right. Competence is crucially important. But her own boss has trouble getting up the stairs and can't seem to find a way off a stage. His frequent verbal and physical stumbles are the subject of both comedy and concern. Most people responded with laughter and derision, for example, when First Lady Jill Biden said this about him.
I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around this country. I see his vigor. I see his energy.
To those who say I can't vote for Joe Biden, he's too old, what do you say?
I say his age is an asset.
What did you say, nigga?
I say his age is an asset.
What do you say?
I say his age is an asset.
Did you hear that?
Energy and vigor. Not quite.
And here's the thing, man. I would say this. Do I think that Joe Biden is... Well, let me say that. Let me say it the way that it needs to be said. He is not with it enough to be the commander-in-chief. Is he competent enough to be someone's grandfather, grandpa, or paw, whatever it is? Yes, absolutely. But like they've said, not just, here's my thing. If you look at what we've seen, imagine what it's like when the cameras are not on. Him being able to coherently speak, him knowing where he's actually at. And I'm saying that from a dementia point of view. I'm saying the fact that he doesn't really know, not necessarily where he's at, but sometimes he doesn't know what time he's in. And I ain't talking about Central, Eastern, and Standard. I'm talking about, like, is this 98? Is this 71? He's losing it that way. The other thing is too, he doesn't even know where he's at or where he's going at times that we have seen. Imagine if you wake this guy up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, what his mental state is like. Imagine what it's like when you get with this guy when he's tired and it's 11:30 at night. Imagine what he's like when you're trying to talk to this person, get an answer for this, get this person to be decisive. He doesn't want to be president anymore. All he wants to do is walk around, eat ice cream, and grope on little girls' hair and whisper in little girls' ears like you've seen him do time and time again. That's what he wants to do. He don't want to be president. The administration can't even stand this dude out front to even have a conversation. He comes out, and everybody's been seeing this since he has been in office. He comes out, he says pretty much his lines, and we've seen that he probably has somebody in his ear telling him exactly what to say. He then says it, and then he's off. They don't let him freestyle. They don't let him speak freely ever. Because every time he does, or every time he tries, he says the wrong thing. Do you think he pees in the bed? I think he has. Shit, everybody done pissed in the bed at one point or another. But I will definitely tell you this. For him to be 81 years old, he is suffering like a 81-year-old person is that has some sort of affliction or afflictions. He's like, what's the lady who the Congress lady that just passed away, that they've been wheeling around in a wheelchair, who can't speak, and they had her in a wheelchair for years. Oh, crap. Feinstein or Feinberg? I think that's her name, Feinstein. Whatever it is. The one they've been wheeling around, and she don't talk. She's barely like with it. She's barely making it. Dianne Feinstein or whatever it is. Yes. And they've been wheeling her around for the past 12 years. Her past 2-3 terms, she has not even been able to talk. They've been proxy voting for her ass and all that shit. Until she literally died. She finally had to die to get out of office. And I think that's exactly what they're doing to Joe Biden. They have him here. He's not with it enough to be the commander in chief. Period. I wouldn't let this dude watch some fucking dogs for more than 2 hours. I just wouldn't. He's just not with it enough. And it's just like when people get old, your grandparents get old, that time comes when they can't drive no more. It starts out where, hey, maybe, they good driving. Then you see they just a little slow driver. Then it becomes they can't drive at night. And then it becomes they can't drive when it's cold. And then it becomes where they just can't drive at all. It happens. It's a part of getting old. But that doesn't mean that they, you got to throw them away or no shit like that. It's just certain things that they can't do anymore. And it's for not just their safety, but the safety of others. That's why when you have those 80-year-old people that run somebody over and the person is still stuck in their windshield and they park them in the garage and all that kind of shit, you see the shit happening because they're not with it. They run over somebody and just kept going. And it's like there's some people who get old and they're still with it. I thank God that my mother is like still with it. She's not like, oh, sometimes I don't know what. She's not like, she is with it. Like me and mama talk about politics and all that kind of shit. Now her politics is crazy on the motherfucker, but we can talk about anything and I like to talk to her. And when I'm talking to her as her son, I'm listening to make sure that she's still with it. If my mama started telling me some shit like, yeah, I remember in 89 when we was down I'm like, okay, mama getting on that old shit. And if it happens, it happens. But you still have to have that thing to where you understand, hey man, they ain't your parents and old people, all of them ain't gonna age the same way. Because when you look at Donald Trump, he's the complete opposite. That old motherfucker, he old too, but he's fucking with it. And it's like I've seen motherfucking 90-year-old people, 100-year-old people that are still with it. Like they still talk, they know what's going on, they know what's happening. It happens. Like Clint Eastwood, motherfucking 99 years old, still with it. Motherfucker just did an action movie 2 weeks ago. Shit, Clint Eastwood just started. He's starring in the Die Hard reboot. Shit, he gonna be the new Bruce Willis. But he's just somebody who has aged and he's old as hell, but he's still with it. That dude was directing movies at fucking 90. Scorsese, old than a motherfucker too. Just directed a movie. Chuckles, he said, damn, bro, I'm gonna have to check out. I'm gonna have to go check out old Clint. I'm just saying. He's still with it though. He can still do it. He's fast at doing shit, but he's still cognitively there. And that's what I'm saying about him. I don't need you to be fast and still being able to jump and run and have a 32-inch vertical. I don't need all that, but I still need you to be able to have a conversation and know what you're talking about. He has proven time and time again that he's not. He's just not there anymore. And the thing is that's sad about it, we all know that if you see somebody like that, that's that touch and go, y'all know they giving him some shit. Y'all know they are. I don't know what they're giving him, but they're boosting him with some shit when he goes out because that's the only way they can. Man, we got to give him this little cocktail to pep him up. Because if not, he going to fuck around and fall, or he ain't going to do shit, or he going to be sitting there looking at it with a dazed look. That dude has literally been mid-sentence, stopped talking about what he was talking about, talked about some other shit, and then just stopped talking altogether. That shit matters, man. When you're talking about this person, it's not just the cognitive part of it, but it's the look and what he represents. He's representing the most powerful man in the world. What do you think other countries are thinking about when they see him and when they hear him talking? They're like, man, get the fuck out of here. We can do whatever we gonna do. Let's talk to the people behind the stage. Let's talk to the people behind closed doors, and we'll get shit done that we need to get done. Because this motherfucker here, he ain't gonna say shit or do shit, but nod his head like, yeah, okay.
What I'm seeing, you can make a plausible case for the wise old statesman with a firm hand on the tiller, but campaigning on Biden's vigor may well fast-track Donald Trump, who does have a lot of vigor, to the White House. Now, at 77, Trump's no spring chicken himself, but with his diet-defying swagger and showmanship, most people on his side seem to be believing him when he says things like this.
I feel like I'm about 35 years old. I actually feel better now than I did 30 years ago. Tell me, is that crazy? I feel better now. And I think cognitively, I'm better than I was 20 years ago. I don't know why.
And here's the thing, and that's figuratively speaking, but I can say this from myself. I am in the best physical shape of my life right now. And in 7 days, I'll be 50 years old. In 7 days, I'm going to be 50 years old, but I'm physically in the best shape of my life. Best shape, strength, everything. When I tell people that I'm about to be 50 in 7 days, he'll be like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. God damn. Yup. So when you imagine me at 60, 70, 80 years old, I'm going to be one fine old motherfucker. I'm just saying. But yes, Trucker C, eating it, I've changed a ton of shit about my lifestyle. How I eat, what I eat, how my commitment to the gym and all. Since that motherfucking COVID shit, Nigga, I've been at that gym. Hey, I'm hitting it a couple of times a week. Religiously. I've gotten to the point to where it's a true habit. Like, I'm not gonna be motherfucking going to the gym. I mean, if I miss the gym, it's a problem for me. I'm like, damn, I missed the gym. I got gotta get back. Gotta get back. And I want to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. So it's like it was just a lifestyle change for me. But the same thing with Donald Trump. I'm sure he's adjusted things in his life too, and now he feels better. The thing about it is you have to look at where he's actually sane and where he's actually at. He looks good. He don't look like he's about to keel the fuck over. Biden is one punch away from dying. You punch that motherfucker in the wrong spot, it's over. It's over. Trucker, see, I don't don't look over 42. I'm telling you, bro, I appreciate it. Yep, drinking that water and everything, doc. Y'all see me. But it's just one of those things where when you look at how you take care of yourself, that shit matters. But you don't see no things where Trump is looking like, damn, man, he don't like he getting around like he used to, like he looking like he's starting to get some miles. You don't see that. This dude has literally, for the past 2 years, been fucking holding rallies and campaigning. With the shit he's doing, going back and forth to court, going city to city, all this shit he's been doing, if he was really like, damn, man, his life catching up with him, he getting old, you would have been saw it. You would have been saw it because he would have stopped doing this shit. Literally, he would have been like, man, I can't keep going around these different cities. It's taking a toll on my body. Anybody who has traveled at all, doing anything where you're going from city to city, driving from state to state, flying, whatever the case may be, you know how quickly that takes a toll on you. Yeah, first few days is fine. First couple of weeks is good. But around month number 1, 2, 3, 4, 60 days in, 90 days in, 6 months in, your ass be tired as hell. That shit that whatchamacallit just did, Vivek Ramaswamy, that dude hit every fucking town and county in Iowa twice before the fucking caucus. I know that dude ain't slept good. I know that dude has been tired than a motherfucker because he went around twice. That shit matters, dude. But he's a young guy. He's a young guy, so he can do that shit. Trump couldn't go around and do all that shit, but he's still been out and about making those rounds, though. Biden, they had his ass, even when he ran the first time, they had his ass in a motherfucking bunker. Wasn't going out nowhere. Staying inside. So they can keep an eye on that motherfucker so he wouldn't be lost and they'd be putting out one of those silver alerts on his ass. Y'all know, like an Amber Alert, they got a thing here called a silver alert. And that's for old folks who wander the fuck off. Be missing.
That is a slightly more debatable subject, Mr. Trump, but a whopping 77% of Americans, both Republican and Democrats, believe that Biden is simply too old to run the country. Almost 70% think he's mismanaged the crisis at the southern border. Just 13% say they're financially better off on his watch. At this stage of his term, he's the least popular US president in recorded history. And this stuff matters. US politics is almost hysterically polarized to the rest of us outside America, but most voters are in fact ready to be persuaded. White working class voters ditched the Democrats to propel Trump to office in 2016. Now more and more Hispanic and black voters are shifting Republican too. Biden says he's the only man who's ever beaten Trump, and that's true. But right now, he may be the only one who can lose to Trump in November. Well, I'm joined by my super PAC here in the studio in New York, co-host of The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God, host of The Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, and the Democrat strategist and Fox News contributor, Jessica Tarlov, who I could hear her lips pursing as I read that
Was
monologue.
that loud?
I could feel them
I
pursing.
appreciate, though, I saw you tempered it a bit. Whoever put it in the prompter was harsher than you were.
I could feel the pursing. I was reining back in real time.
So I'll even say this too before we get into what these people are saying. Do you honestly think that, let's just say, for instance, the planets aligned and the cosmos is deemed for Joe Biden to become president again? Do y'all honestly think he would last another 4 years? Do you honestly believe that he would make it another 4 years? He's 81 now. That means he would be 85. And when I'm saying making it, I'm saying like making it. I ain't saying like, oh yeah, he can still do it. They could, keep doing what they do. The way that they're handling him now, do you honestly think that he would be able to withstand that another 4 years? And here's my thing, right? People is pretty much saying probably not, no. And here's my thing with that. Because of that, that lets you know that we know that, and that lets you know that the DNC knows that. And I promise you, I just, without a shadow of a doubt, I just believe that they have some type of trick up their sleeve. They got something up their sleeve, because I just don't see them seeing what everyone else is seeing, what the entire world is seeing, and them not realizing and saying, hey, we got to hedge up against this. We got to. We can't just let this go the way it's going now, because if we do, we are going to be in trouble. 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 As Dollar Bill would say. So it's like, they're not stupid. They may do stupid shit. They may support stupid shit. But there has to be something coming down the pipe that's going to help them get this bullshit going, the bullshit train rolling, so that they can try to pull this shit off again. Because I just don't see them letting go of the reins just like that. Like, okay, we're done. Go ahead. Y'all turn. I don't see it. Right. World War III, possibly. Michelle Obama, possibly. It's going to be something. Because just like how we see it, in all actuality, this dude is not going to be physically and mentally capable of going another 4 years. He's just not going to be able to do it. If he doesn't have some type of major medical event, or if he don't check out altogether, there's no way he's going to make it to 85, 86. He'd be 86 years old. No way. No way, no way, no way. So we'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and keep it going. Wait, hold on now. Why is this not? Ah, there we go. Ah, crap. It's not letting me change this. Damn it, man. This is unbelievable.
Yo, this shit is unbelievable.
Am I still live? Hold on. Okay, all right. I'm still live. Okay, fine. I don't know why this isn't letting me control the damn thing. It's literally just showing me like a black screen. Let's see if I can do it that. Nope, won't let me do it that way either. Oh my God. Why is that doing that to me? Paste as new source. Link source. Nope. Okay, let me do this. Let me add it again and see if that changes it. Because it's like literally not letting me change a goddamn thing.
Good evening from New York. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Whether we monarchist Brits like to admit it or not, the President of the United States is the single most important person in the world, commanding the world's mightiest military and holding the purse strings of its biggest economy. The President could end Israel's war in Gaza with a phone call or decide if Ukraine gets the backing it needs to beat Putin. At least that's the general idea. But the current commander-in-chief is 81, seemingly going on
this is ridiculous.
181 after a lifetime of distinguished public service as a pragmatic politician. And in my view, a thoroughly decent human
Come
being.
on, man.
President Biden looks increasingly unfit for service. And with the president in visible decline, his re-election campaign is, well, transitioning. You might say its pronouns are changing before our very eyes. The two most important women in President Biden's life have been sent out to jumpstart the 2024 race. Wildly unpopular VP Kamala Harris said this.
We've got 10 months to go until the election.
I'm going to see if it's going to come back, but I'll just let this play then.
This week,
if it's going to do that.
We are all starting to narrow in on what this election will mean. Yeah. And it's going to be the choice between what is about respecting our democracy, what is about competence versus chaos.
Well, the Vice President is right. Competence is crucially important, but her own boss has trouble getting up the stairs and can't seem to find a way off a stage. His frequent verbal and physical stumbles are the subject of both comedy and concern. Most people responded with laughter and derision, for example, when First Lady Jill Biden said this about him.
I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around this country. I see his vigor. I see his energy.
To those who say I can't vote for Joe Biden, he's too old. What do you say?
I say his age is an asset.
Energy and vigor.
His age is an asset.
You can make a plausible case for the wise old statesman with a firm hand on the tiller, but campaigning on Biden's vigor may well fast-track Donald Trump, who does have a lot of vigor, to the White House. Now, at 77, Trump's no spring chicken himself, but with his diet-defying swagger and showmanship, most people on his side seem to be believing him when he says things like this.
I feel like I'm about 35 years old. I actually feel better now than I did 30 years ago. Tell me, is that crazy? I feel better now. And I think cognitively, I'm better than I was 20 years ago. I don't know why.
That is a slightly more debatable subject, Mr. Trump, but a whopping 77% of Americans, both Republican and Democrats, believe that Biden is simply too old to run the country. Almost 70% think he's mismanaged the crisis at the southern border. Just 13% say they're financially better off on his watch. At this stage of his term, he's the least popular US president in recorded history. And this stuff matters. US politics has seemed almost hysterically polarized to the rest of us outside America, but most voters are in fact ready to be persuaded. White working class voters ditched the Democrats to propel Trump to office in 2016. Now more and more Hispanic and black voters are shifting Republican too. Biden says he's the only man who's ever beaten Trump, and that's true. But right now, he may be the only one who can lose to Trump in November. Well, I'm joined by my super PAC here in the studio in New York, co-host of The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne the God, host of The Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, and the Democrat strategist and Fox News contributor, Jessica Tal, who I could hear her lips pursing as I read that monologue. I could feel them pursing.
Rick Rubin from fucking
Def
Jam.
Was harsher than you were.
I could feel the pursing. I was reining back in real time. Let me start with...
So I think I got is it in the? I just get Rick. Yes, let me change that because I'm thinking Rick Rubin, but Rick Rubin is the dude fucking Def Jam. It's Dave Rubin. My bad, Dave. Hell no.
Jessica, because I like Joe Biden personally. I think he's got a lot of very admirable qualities as a human being, and his own story. You know, the fact he lost his wife and a baby when he was just a senator. He then lost another son. Anyone that can do that and still do the job he's doing will always have my admiration. But there is no doubt he is in real trouble here. Is there any doubt? I mean, can you paint a picture that isn't as grim as the one I painted?
Oh, I definitely can do that. And I've been preparing for 3.5 minutes to get a chance. I'm not going to start by denying that the age factor is massive in all of this. And I think that people's concerns as well about Kamala Harris and her readiness to take over informs that. If there was a hugely popular vice president kind of waiting in the wings, I think things might feel a bit different for people. But 81 is 81. There are some 81-year-olds. We all watch Warren Buffett, right?
Mick Jagger is 80.
Yes.
Nearly 81.
He would have a different kind of agenda for the country. But yes, he does.
Might be quite a popular one.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
And like the people that she's naming, and I get it, but the people that she's naming, those people are actually with it. They're not like, I don't know where he's at. You know, you're not on the stage and seeing somebody like that they don't know where the hell they at. It's like they are with it and they know what's going on. So it's like it's kind of like it's a great comparison. I mean, it's a bad comparison for them. But it's like when you talk about those people that she's talking about, these people are still fucking singing and dancing and shit. They're still with it when you talk to them. You look at Morgan Freeman and shit like that. These people are still with it. You can clearly see that this dude is not. Clearly see it. And it's like they just don't want to acknowledge it. They just say, you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, there's still other people. Yeah, but those other people aren't looking like him. They are not sounding like him. You can't even compare what those people are and who those people are. You can't even compare them. It's literally no comparison.
I wouldn't hate it. But there is a problem going on right now with media coverage of the Biden presidency, and there are problems with the Biden campaign.
What are the problems?
So I'll start with media coverage. Everybody knows now that you want to print stories that get clicks, and negative stories are the ones that do it. Even people who are huge supporters of the president focus on all the polls that are negative. Most people wouldn't know that if you went to the Real Clear Politics homepage and clicked on polls, the average has Joe Biden down just 1 percentage point to Trump. You would think that he was getting trounced. You'd look at swing state polls and you'd see that in a lot of the swing states, like Pennsylvania, for instance, which is going to be a huge deal, he's up massively. We only talked about the fact that he was down in one Michigan poll last week. In terms of the economic news, the Wall Street Journal, our very own Wall Street Journal here at News Corp, had a hugely optimistic set of editorials out there. It's 62% of Americans think.
Here's the thing, though. What you're saying, and you're talking about these polls, these people are the ones that's in control of the media. They're the ones, these are the same media, the same social media, the same mainstream media companies that these people are talking about now, saying they're not just being favorable about. These were the same people that they was able to say, hey, look, anything with somebody talking about COVID, stop it. Anything with somebody talking about Hunter Biden and this laptop, stop it. Why would they not be doing that now? If what she's saying is true and Biden is up in certain areas, why would his rating be so low if they're in charge of that? And you're talking about mainstream media, they're the ones that's controlling it. They would be the ones to at least say, even if you look at what's going on with social media, you would at least be able to say, hey, the mainstream media that's been supporting us, they still supporting us, and this is what they're saying. There's not even that type of contrast because he's done so poorly.
The next year, so 2024 election year, is going to be better for them. When are they going to go and vote? In November. That's a lot of time for this economic recovery to really settle in for people. But no one wants to talk about that.
That is not a lot of time for this economic recovery to settle in. Because here's the thing about the economic recovery settling in. It ain't going to settle in 10 months. It's just not. And that's the thing that they're going to try to sell. You know, statistically, when you look at the numbers, looking at the numbers and talking about these statistics and all that shit is fine and dandy. You can talk about it, but the actual the actual reality of what's going on today, we are still paying the most taxes we've ever paid. We are still paying everything that we are buying is still way up in price. And here's the kicker, and all that shit they talk about and how they try to change it around. If the price of shit has gone up and wages have not, there's your problem. And it is not going to be a healthy economy until that shit has figured itself out, and you can't do it in 10 months. The cost of everything has gone up. I don't give a damn what they say. You talk about gas is down 50 cents. Gas, that ain't got shit to do with how much it costs for me to go to the grocery store to eat. Gas fluctuates. It could be down 30 cents tomorrow and it could be up 70 cents the next day. Everything costs more. When you're talking about just the cornerstones of financial stability and wealth, what does it cost for a house? Ain't nobody said shit about the fucking interest rate going back down to under 3%. Till that shit happens, ain't shit gonna change. All the shit they're talking about is shit that the rich people see and that the rich people can benefit on. And I'm talking about the elite rich. People that's making upwards of 400,000. But for us, everyday working class people, you're not going to see it because they fucked it up so much to where they've literally priced out middle America. They've taken us out. Right, Amanda, there is no American dream right now. It's all the American struggle. Food prices ain't went back down. I'm sorry, but they haven't. So my wages ain't went up and they not. So therefore, what? We're all struggling. We're all paying more. The fucking credit card debt is over $1 trillion. They won't talk about that shit though. Why? Because it indicates a clear and concise message of saying, yes, we fucked up. We're in a recession. Shit is costing more. Cost of living has went up everywhere. So don't let the motherfuckers tell you that shit. Oh, well, things are getting better. This in 10 months, it's going to really settle down. They going to talk that bullshit, but it's not.
It's not popular. It's not good clickbait. The second part about the campaign, and this is where I think the Obama folks who have been perhaps too publicly critical, I think, of the Biden campaign, their ground game is not visible to folks. They don't feel like they're there in Nevada, in Arizona, in Georgia, in these states that
it's not visible because it's not there. Not they feel like it's not visible. It's not there. There is no ground game. Biden's not hitting the streets. Kamala Harris is not hitting the streets. They ain't doing shit but doing shit like going on The View, going on 60 Minutes. That's all they're doing. They're not hitting the streets. So it feels like they're not in the streets because they not, bitch. Don't try to make it seem like we don't know what the hell we're seeing.
we desperately need to win. And they are working on that. And I think that the president himself needs to be more visible. If I was working in the White House, I would have him out there all the time. I understand you might.
She said they need to be, they're working on that. You either do it or you don't. You either schedule a rally or you won't. That's just it. There is no we working on it. You're either gonna do it or you're not. You either can or you can't. That's just it. It's not a thing where, well, we're trying to figure out how we can actually do this. He's the fucking president. He can go out and do whatever the fuck he wants. But he can't. That's why they won't.
Have you risked
Would you? You see,
a stumble?
I wouldn't. I'd do what they did with him last time. I'd keep him in a dungeon. I mean, Dave, look, here's the thing. I think the problem is not, it's not his age. I think that Joe Biden's problem is the clear senility.
Yeah.
That's going.
Thank you. He called it out. He called it out flat. It's clear senility. He's senile. He is not with it. So even if y'all wanted to put him out there, y'all can't. They can't put him out there. It's just one of those things to where he just can't do it. And they're talking about, I know it feels like he's not out there, and it feels like he's just trying to, that they're working on that to try to get him out. If I was at the White House, I would be telling them that too. It's the clear senility, like Piers said. He's clearly senile, people. Y'all can't put him out. You can't give us what you ain't got. That's just what it is. It's something. Billy Go says maybe Parkinson's. It's something. I don't know what it is. And I mean, it really don't matter what it is. It really doesn't. He's clearly not there.
With his age. Like I said, I met Mick Jagger last summer. Absolutely bursting with the vim and vigor that Jill wants us to believe she sees him go.
Look, Piers, do any of us sitting at this table or anyone watching this think that he could run one shift at McDonald's? And I don't mean that as a shot for someone that works at McDonald's.
Right.
That's what a lot of senior citizens do, though. But I don't think he could. I think a lot of senior citizens could, because I don't think it's an age thing. I agree with you. It's a cognitive.
Dame Joan Collins at the Emmys stole the show.
Yes.
She's 90 years old. Good friend of mine.
90 years old. Joan Collins. 90. This dude's 81.
Looks about 50, and she has the mental acuity of a 50-year-old. She has vim and vigor. So Jill Biden is right to say it's about vim and vigor, but her husband doesn't exude it.
Well, look, let's put it this way. You opened by saying something about ailing Joe Biden, and I thought, oh, I haven't looked at my phone in 20 minutes. Did something else happen?
It's a general ailing.
It's ailing. Yes, we all know it. The wandering off when they get him off the plane and the confusion. He literally on camera what was it, 2 years ago, said, let's go, Brandon. Like, something is not right.
Exactly. Let's go, Brandon. He basically was saying, fuck myself. Literally, that's what he's saying. Like, fuck myself. Fuck myself. It's like, dude, we all know what it is.
We all know it. And I would say respectfully, in terms of the polls and everything, people don't vote on what really matters. We vote on what we can feel, right? And I think because of that, people are going, Donald Trump, he seems back. There's energy there, and there's just no energy with Biden. And nobody likes Kamala. That's
but Trump has lost every election except 2016.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's
a loser.
What?
And, yeah, right to the...
What the fuck does that mean? Trump has lost every election except for 2016. I still don't get that. Like, what are you talking about?
The point, the Democrats decided to finish him off with 91 criminal charges and thought this will do him. He's down, he's wounded, and we'll get him. And it's had the complete opposite effect. He has used that to play the martyr, the victim. It has fueled a resurgent.
Very true, Amanda. Biden ran several times before he lost too. What is the point of what she's saying? Like,
Trump.
Whatever.
And you cannot deny. I mean, I've seen people try to downplay what happened to Iowa. But if that had been Joe Biden who'd done that at Iowa, you'd be saying, this is unbelievable. It's a landslide. It's amazing. He's killing them, right? Trump is back, and I think will definitely be the nominee, regardless, unless there's some extraordinary twist of events. He's exuding the air of someone on a mission. He's got vim and vigor. And whether you love him or hate him, and it's equal doses with Trump, you got to say Trump v. Biden in November. I could see Trump winning that.
Is there anything about Iowa that makes you say maybe Republicans should pivot and go to somebody like a Nikki Haley, maybe? Like when you see that she picks up, a lot of Democrats, a lot of independents, do you think that they're doing themselves a disservice by maybe not getting behind her?
Possibly.
Because the GOP is going to fall in line, and she's somebody who seems like they can pick up votes from both sides.
Yeah, I mean.
And this lets you know that Charlamagne is with the shits. He's the person where And that was the whole thing. Like him being supporting Joe Biden and just being anti-Trump. It's because Charlamagne is truly 1000% with the bullshit. The whole, what do you want to call it? The swamp, the system, the bureaucracy. He's with that shit. He is a fucking agent of the other side. He literally brought up Nikki Haley. He didn't even bring up DeSantis. He brought who actually is in second. Even though Trump is kicking both of their asses, and it's clearly to see that. I mean, the numbers ain't lying. Clearly destroying everyone else. But I get it. You don't like them, so you try to talk about somebody else. Why would you pick Haley over DeSantis? Because she's total establishment. If you want to talk percentages of establishment, I would probably say Trump is maybe 20%. I would probably say DeSantis is probably 60%. Well, fairness, I'd say maybe about 40%. He's about 40%, 50. He's not 50. I would say about 40. And then you say Nikki Haley. Come on, bro. Nikki Haley is at minimum, bare minimum, 75% establishment. She has been with the shits. She's a fucking, what do you want to call it? If there was ever a term, a good old girl, like they say, the good old boys club, she's with that shit. All of the fuck shit that they doing, she's bought and paid for, period. And when she got called out on it, all she did was stood there like, I'm not going to say a thing. Yes, what he's saying is true, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to stand here. And that's my final thing too. And it's like, dude, you know good and goddamn well, ain't nobody or the country is not going to vote for Nikki Haley as a woman to be president. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Is what it is. We're just not there yet as a country to where we want a woman to run it. Sorry. Who's next?
But you yourself, made news by talking about the vim and vigor claimed by Joe Biden, didn't you? I mean, you're not.
I don't see the vim and
you're not
vim and vigor, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I had a great time on your Breakfast Club show yesterday, and it was really enlightening conversation we had. But it's not that like you said, are you telling people to vote Trump? No. It's not for me to tell people how to vote in this country. And I've been very critical of Trump in the since certainly overall the stolen election nonsense, the January 6th thing. I wasn't buying into any of that. And in a way, I felt that was disqualifying. But we are where we are. It didn't disqualify him. Mm-hmm. He could actually go to prison and still be president of the United States constitutionally. Mm-hmm. So we're into completely uncharted territory. All I do feel is the more the Democrats have tried to kill him off, particularly with all these criminal charges, the more that even Republicans that don't like him have gone, you know what, it is a witch hunt. The Liberals are trying to nail up this guy. He's one of us. We're going to back him. And so it's been self-defeating. Mm-hmm. A bit like the Russia collusion thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the interesting thing is if you're going to use language like, this is going to be the end of democracy as we know it, then there needs to be a sense of urgency. Like you said, when is the ground game going to start? Why is the ground game just starting now if it's going to be, the end of democracy? And I think that's what scares people, too. If we see the clear and, to me anyway, the clear and present danger that could be a second Trump presidency, is the Biden-Harris ticket a winnable ticket? I'm a person who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, so I don't think it's anything wrong with asking that question.
Do you think it's a winnable ticket?
I don't know. When I look at the polls, I don't think so. I think that a 60-plus-year-old...
No incumbent president with this poll rating that Biden's currently at in the low 30s has ever been re-elected.
Yeah, when I look at it, I don't think so. You never know. You can say it's 50-50, but I think a 60-plus-year-old Joe Biden, with...
And there you go. It's like and my thing is just like how he just said it, I know that this motherfucker can't win. So in your heart of hearts, you just ain't saying it. You're kind of hinting around it, but if the numbers are clearly showing, and there's just like not just one particular poll, we're just saying there's a series of events that are taking place, his ratings, what he's doing now, the so-called non-existent ground game, the campaign, the announcements. There is no energy, there is no synergy around this Biden and Harris ticket. It's like, you know what it is, you just don't want to say it. And it's like, if they aren't saying anything and we know what it looks like, it just goes to show you that there's got to be another shoe waiting to drop at some point for them to try this overlay for the underlay. There's no way they would just like, forget it. We ain't going to say nothing. They ain't going to do shit. We're just going to let them have it. They're not going to do that.
Things he's done as far as like, the infrastructure bill, even the student loan forgiveness, the way the economy is now, I think.
Student loan forgiveness. What student loans have been forgiven? How much student loan has been forgiven? Just saying, like, how long he been doing this? Getting student loans forgiven? How long? Do y'all do realize that he's given over 200 billion to Ukraine and y'all still got student loans? That in itself should be the thing to let all y'all know, like, yeah, they full of shit. 3 years he been in office. 3 years. Mm-hmm.
60-something-year-old Joe Biden.
He also said to you on your show, which again made headlines, make a lot of headlines, Charlamagne, I'm jealous. But he said, if you're black and you don't vote for me, you're not black. He meant it as a joke. But what did you think when he said that? Was that a sense of entitlement, a bit of arrogance about the African-American vote?
And I love the fact that Piers brought this shit up. And I don't think anybody's done a better job at bringing this up than when Charlamagne brought it up with Larry Elder. Larry Elder killed his ass. I'm talking literally beat him over the head with that comment that he made when he was trying to, you had your nigga wake up call. Nigga, have you had your nigga wake up call? I believe you had a nigga wake up call and you didn't answer. But I'm just so glad that he brought this up. But listen to this response.
I think that, he has too many black friends around him, and they made him feel comfortable enough to make that joke. I feel like he probably had a...
What did you say, nigga?
I think he's surrounded by too many black friends, and that's why he thought it was okay to make that comment. Where are all these black friends that Joe Biden has? That he's surrounded by? They damn sure ain't in his cabinet. Where are all these black friends that he got? They ain't at Camp David. If they're the black people, the black friends he got at Camp David are sitting there with fucking towels over there all talking about Motisa. Yes, sir. No, sir. They still got slaves out of Camp David, goddammit. You go to Camp David, this motherfucker still out there picking cotton. Chopping down sugar cane. Shit. They got a cotton gin at Camp David, a sugar sugar mill at Camp David. I'm just saying. What the hell are you talking about? I just think he had surrounded by too many black friends. Like, what the fuck? Man, please, right. Corn Pop is out there running the planet. Corn Pop runs Camp David. Whatever.
A bunch of black people around him who have said that exact language, because when they say that, they're saying that, hey, if you vote for Trump, you're literally voting, against your own interests as a black person. And I think he's heard that a bunch of times, so he thought that would have been a nice little...
Dave, let me ask you a specific thing, Dave, about this, right? So Trump, this is where I have a problem with Trump. Every time I sort of, he makes me laugh, right? He just does. When he said that thing on the eve of Iowa, that even if it kills you, come out and vote it, you've got to laugh. Right? And actually watching
people
leader of the free world.
But watching Poe.
He just said it's not a stand-up special. He's the leader of the free world. And if you're gonna hold that standard to him, how do you get away with the shit that Biden has said as the leader of the free world? Really? Really? It's like that's the kind of shit that pisses me off, and that's how I know Charlamagne, he's with the whole bureaucracy shit and he's with the establishment shit. He's just one of those people that's with it. Because it's like, dude, you're just finding anything to try to justify this dude over the other. Anything. He's the leader of the free world. And this motherfucking leader of the free world told your punk ass on your show to your face, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And you as a black man didn't say shit. Didn't say what the fuck you just say to me. I would look at Joe Biden and been like,
What did you say, nigga?
that's exactly what I said. But you know what Charlamagne said?
What you say now, Chuck? And that's a for sure right on.
And that's it. Show's over. Made no sense whatsoever. But then you talking about he's the leader of the free world. You trying to hold him to a different standard? Man, y'all full of shit.
Face liberals lose their minds when he does that stuff. Makes me chuckle, right? I see myself as pretty down the middle, but I think he's funny and he can make people laugh. But when he says this, I don't laugh, right? He said the President of the United States on Truth Social yesterday, the President of the United States must have full immunity, without which it would be impossible for him to properly function. Any mistake, even if well-intended, would be met with almost certain indictment by the opposing party at term end. For even events that cross the line must fall under total immunity. So I tweeted, so if President Biden orders the immediate assassination of you, Donald Trump, that's okay, is it? That's covered.
What you're explaining is the true magic of Donald Trump.
And here's the thing. As a president, you can't order the death of another American. So why even make that statement? He can't order the death of anyone. See what I mean? How they will make some shit up or just over exaggerate some shit? Like, come on, dude.
Whether you love his policies or not, because on one hand you're going, well, there are certain lines when he pokes fun at the
but he means this.
No. So your line now is he put it in quotes, crosses the line.
No, I can tell when he's laughing and joking.
So you think when he says cross the line, what he meant was I can take out Joe Biden.
No, that was me suggesting that that's where you take the argument.
But what do you think he means?
I think what he means
would kill one of his political opponents or get them killed if he could.
No, I think he's actually
like. He said that he would kill one of his political opponents or get them killed if he could. And I hear what you're saying. But let's look at the reality of it, of him saying that, and that's what you believe. But then you look at the reality of what the fucking Clintons and the death that has been affiliated with them, and you don't talk about it. That proves that you're with the establishment. If your moral high ground, if your moral compass is saying, oh, I think this person would if they could, and you can clearly see there's a fucking family that shows clearly and concisely all of the death that has been connected to their fucking names, and you don't ever say anything about that, you're full of shit. You're being intellectually disingenuous, dude. You're just literally trying to just say any and everything you possibly can to try to besmirch this man. And it's like you don't have any type of standards for everyone to be treated fairly. It's just special rules for you. But everybody else, I'm not going to even say nothing about. But your ass, oh yeah, I'm going to say everything I can about you.
As always with Trump, it's self-interest. He wants to basically make sure he can't be prosecuted.
He means Jack Smith, go home.
Yeah.
That's what he means.
Yeah,
and if the corollary is my political opponent could kill someone, he then wants to talk about 2016 when we all ran around and said, he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and his supporters wouldn't care.
By this new criteria, he could do that and get away with it.
Right. Well,
and here's the other thing. What about all of the people that said we should kill him? If you see him, just punch him, cut his head. Or what was the comedian chick? The white lady comedian that literally put up a fucking picture of him beheaded. We just gonna forget about that shit. Oh, that's all, that's just fodder. That's just, that's tongue in cheek. Ha 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 ha. It's like y'all got these double standards, man, that are just blatant. Like, hey, man, you can, but you can't. Kathy Griffin, thank you. Like, really? Niggas lost their mind when the motherfucker made a puppet of Barack Obama and hung him from a tree and burned it. Lost their fucking mind, right? Understandably so. I get it. It was a touchy subject, struck a nerve, fine. When that bitch put up Donald Trump's fucking head being cut off, same motherfucker should have been mad. It should have been the whole thing that Martin Luther King said. Injustice to one person in somewhere is injustice to everybody everywhere. That ain't the right quote, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about. If it happens to this one person, you should be just as mad, because if it happened to this person, it can happen to the next person. It can happen to you. It can happen to anyone else.
I think there are some legal questions as per what a president is allowed to get away with and not be prosecuted after, but I'm pretty sure murder is not one of them. Like,
thank you.
We don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet.
Like,
man, get the fuck out of here.
Under total immunity.
The man has open adulation for Xi Jinping,
That's right.
Yeah.
for Kim Jong-un.
That's right.
He's a wannabe.
That's right. Listen to him. That's right. How does he have open adulation? Same motherfucker who said, oh, I'm going to put the Rocket Man in check. He has adulation for this person. Really? That's the type of shit I be talking about. They just make up shit or they exaggerate shit for no reason, but to just perpetuate the fucking lie at all costs. That's the whole problem I have with the whole left democratic, super liberal, whatever the fuck it is. They will do anything and say anything to perpetuate the fucking lie. We got this lie going, and we're going to do any and everything we can to just keep this lie going. Say your mama, say you sell your daddy, say you sacrifice your kids, any and everything, your integrity, all that shit. Keep the lie going at all costs is their mentality. And that's been their playbook.
Be dictator, and I don't, I've been at Fox News my entire media career. I do not fancy myself an MSNBC type person who wants to lose their mind about these things. But that is very serious to have someone who was the leader of the free world and is running to be it again, to believe that these people who are anathema to democracy are doing it right.
What did you feel when Kamala...
And also, too, though, we're acting like, it's not just rhetoric. Yes, he said he wanted to be a dictator for a day. Yes, he said, he should be immune from killing his political rivals. But he also attempted a coup in his country, guys.
Right.
Like, why are we acting...
He attempted a coup in this country.
Yo, this shit is unbelievable.
He attempted a coup in this country.
Like that did not happen. Why we keep acting like January 6th did not happen?
I mean, it didn't happen. I mean, what, that a bunch of people showed up
Thank
with
you.
no plans, no weapons. I mean, I'm not defending the people
Thank
that actually
you.
broke windows or anything else. But there was no coup. There was no
That was an
insurrection.
attempted coup in this country. I got eyes and ears. I'm not a
I got eyes and ears, and that was an attempted coup. How? Tell me the last time, and then just anybody. And this is something I wish I could have been on the show to say. Show me the last coup that was even attempted without any weapons, without any type of military force. He doesn't know what a fucking coup is. He's just being a nigga right now. And I'm just going along with the fuck I've been told to go along with. A coup? Do you know what a fucking coup is and how much shit goes on and takes place for a fucking coup? Like, really? And he's just saying this. He's saying this shit. And all I'm saying is, if fucking Joe Biden did the same shit, he would never say it. He would say, oh, well, I just think, Joe Biden was just hanging around a bunch of people that have done coups before. And I thought that he was just thinking that he was able to, he felt comfortable enough to do it. That's what the fuck he would say.
Political expert.
Was there a plan? Was there a plan? Did anyone have a piece of paper that said
Proud Boys had a plan, and they were invited into the White House.
right.
There were people with zip ties. That's not a casual thing that you.
Oh, you know what zip ties? You remember what they did in Venezuela now? Them zip ties is so enough dangerous. Bro, come on. And the fact that they're sitting here trying to really paint that picture and nobody's saying, well, hold on. This is what Piers should have said. Hold on, wait a minute now. You going too far. Saying a coup, words matter, and that's a very dangerous word to say that someone tried to have stage a coup and they weren't even fucking there. Like, come the fuck on. Really? With all of the fucking Secret Service, all of the fucking military, all of the fucking campus police, all of these motherfuckers there, they gonna go down there with some motherfuckers who ain't got a plan, ain't got no weapons, ain't got shit but some fucking flags, and they're staging a coup. I'm sorry, also, like that girl said, with zip ties. Really? That's what you do. Get you some flags and get you some zip ties and go stage a coup.
I'm not diminishing.
They went after the ballot box.
Just
They were
because
talking about hanging the vice president.
There were 1,000, there were only 100 bad ones, let's say. That doesn't mean that it wasn't an attempted coup fomented by the President of the United States of America.
I mean, does anyone honestly think that Donald Trump thought that the next day he would be president, post-transition?
Well, Bill Barr.
Exactly. Like this shit was all, like it almost worked. We almost did it, guys. It's like this shit is ridiculous that they're saying this as adults. If these were teenagers talking like this, I would get it. But these are fucking adults speaking like this, saying that this was what this dude was doing. Like, really? You honestly think that the president of the free world at that time would stage a coup with about 100 motherfuckers and some zip ties and some flags? That's what he would do. All of the resources and shit that he has fucking access to, all of the shit that he has command of, you're telling me he gonna get a bunch of people that he don't fucking know, that don't have any type of leadership, no military presence, not a fucking gun amongst them. He's gonna get them together to go stage a coup so that he can continue to be president. That is beyond far-fetched. It's so intellectually dishonest that they should be ashamed of themselves. And this is what I mean when it just comes to, I see this shit with a lot of just journalists, period. They take things and they try to, that they know that they full of shit talking about, and they try to make it as just so real to people. They try to make it such a real thing. It's like, oh, that's what he did. Well, there was no evidence. Oh, but still, that's how we did it.
Potential
Bill Barr does, which is why he finally had to go.
Bill
There are
Barr.
people, I mean, what was so powerful about the January 6th committee and what they were able to put together is the fact that they used almost exclusively Republican testimony. People who had worked for him. I mean, look at the text messages from his own son.
Don't dare talk about somebody's son and wrongdoing. And we've seen and heard what the fuck Hunter Biden has said. How dare you? How dare you? And then when you go and you look at what they did and all of the other bullshit, and the fact that the fucking FBI, who has been asked repeatedly about their fucking informants and their fucking agents being there to help stage the fucking riot, and they won't answer it.
To Mark Meadows, or what Ivanka had to be honest about when she testified, or Jared Kushner, or Cassidy Hutchinson, who they're going after now. I mean, he made a mockery of our system. And frankly, I mean, it speaks to the strength of our institutions and the backbone of Mike Pence for that 8 hours that he was able to say,
I thought it was I got to say, it was a pretty terrifying spectacle.
I'm sure watching it abroad, you thought, oh,
no,
what the hell is going on
I
here?
remember emailing one of his team and saying, "What, you've got to get him out there and call this thing off." And he didn't.
It wasn't a thing that he called on.
for a long period of time while this mayhem was erupting. You can dress it any way you like. You can spin it any way you like.
It was an attempted coup.
Thousands of people
It was an attempted coup.
into a mindset of we have to stop this democratic action happening, stormed into the epicenter of American politics, and they tried to take control and, in their eyes, stop democracy happening. Now, the liberal response, by the way, which is to classic liberal response, which is completely half-assed, which is to say, right, let's take him off the ballot now in loads of different states, is obviously stupid.
Right,
because
that is the rocket fuel.
You don't try and stop a guy you think has tried to thwart democracy by thwarting democracy.
Can I say two things? One, Charlotte.
Exactly. What up, Thick Cut? And here's the thing, too. If this was really that, you telling me 100 people with zip ties, man, that's what it is? Like, up against the fucking United States government? The same government that fucking Al-Qaeda flew planes into and couldn't take over, couldn't stop? The same fucking government that fucking China came up on Pearl Harbor and let motherfucking, Japan came up on Pearl Harbor and let motherfucking attack fucking back in 2000, not 2011, but fucking 1941. That same motherfucker, they had way more than 100 people with zip ties and they couldn't do shit. And y'all honestly think that that's what the fuck he was gonna plan to do? Whatever, man.
Charlamagne brought up a point that I wanted to add on to that's really important about the vim and vigor, right? So Donald Trump, I don't think that he's going to trip and fall and die tomorrow. But when people do see him, he's talking absolute rubbish.
He's done that for 50 years. I mean, come on.
But people, I agree. I didn't even like his shows when it was on regular TV. But
right, his hit TV shows that were on TV. Okay, but here's my thing. What's the rubbish? Shit that you don't like is different than rubbish.
Even when I appeared? Come on, the 2008 Celebrity Apprentice was the stuff of masterpiece.
But the kind of communication that he's putting out there, even in the last 48 hours, we went from Iowa, I was there, I was on air, and I said this is a big accomplishment for him. He's being conciliatory. How long will it last? Then we got to immigrants are poisoning the blood of America. Then defaming a woman who he's been charged. They found him guilty of sexually assaulting her. He continues with that. He's talking about how magnets work in water, using ID to buy a loaf of bread. It's not like people who are at home are saying, this guy's got it together and this guy doesn't.
No, but you know what it is? You know what? We're going to come back. I'm going to talk.
And my thing is, what difference does that make with the vim and vigor of Joe Biden? What does that have to do with any of his vigor? Any of his competency, any of his senility? What does that have to do with that? You just don't like his talking points, which is fine. But that doesn't indicate a thing to where it's something wrong with him. He's still walking around campaigning, been doing this shit for the past 2 years, and you talking about what?
After the break to Dean Phillips and keep you guys here to react to that. But I also want to talk about what Jamie Dimon said, which I thought was really interesting, when he said that if you call everyone who's a MAGA a supporter of Trump, if you call them a bunch of crazies, then you are completely missing the point why most of them actually want to vote for Trump, which is economy, foreign policy, the border, all these things which he was strong on last time. He said that's why they want him back, because they feel they've been let down on that by Biden. We'll talk about that after the break. Stay with me. Uncensored next. More from my New York super PAC. I'll be joined by the Democratic.
And like he's right, you talking about a person who's a fucking billionaire, like he's some fucking idiot, and just hey, I don't know anything. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just here.
Presidential candidate who wants Joe Biden to stand aside. He's Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips, and he'll be here live in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored, live from New York City. Democrats are privately fretting about President Biden's disastrous polling in the race for the White House. Very few of them are prepared to say it out loud. Only one elected Democrat has been bold enough to run against the incumbent president. And US Representative Dean Phillips is that man and joins me now. Well, Mr. Phillips, thank you for joining me. I guess the first question for the global audience is, who are you and why do you want to be president?
Who am I and why do I want to be president? Well, I'll tell you my quick story. I lost my father in the Vietnam War. He was a soldier who served his country and gave his life to our country.
I think that was
I
pretty
got
much
very
it.
lucky.
But anyway, at the end, they talked about like with what Joe Biden is right now and Kamala Harris on that ticket running up against fucking Donald Trump, like, will they win? And pretty much everybody said no. He's not gonna fucking win. And my thing is this, it's like, even when you're talking about just from their perspective to say, hey, I think that what Donald Trump has done or Donald Trump, it's all personal shit. It just is. It just is. It's like, and I'll even say this, one of my criticisms that I've had about Donald Trump, and a lot of people have had this criticism, is just how he handled, number one, the lockdowns, and how he handled COVID, period. And I get the fact that it was a thing to where it had never happened before. There was no playbook for it. And he pretty much made the best decisions that he could based on what no one is trained or was trained. No politician was trained to handle a fucking pandemic. Him not being a politician, him being a businessman, there is no training for a pandemic. So I get it. I totally understand it. So it's like, were mistakes made? Yes. Was it mistakes that we foresaw him make it? No, there's no way you're going to know. There's no way you're going to get all that shit right. Just no way. But he did the best he could. I get it. Still hold him accountable to it, but you can't say, hey, man, he should have known better. No, because he really didn't know. He really didn't know. So it's like, that was my thing with that. It's just a whole thing of just saying, I wish that there would just be a lot more truth being told and spoken about on both sides, as opposed to it just being where you just say the shit that make you feel good and you just move like that. Because I think that's one of the things that leads people, it misleads people to the point to where they make bad decisions that affects their lives. And my thing is this, with what Trump has done in his 4 years and what Biden has done in these past 3 years, I don't give a good goddamn what you say. You can't tell me that that dude deserves another 4 years in office when you can clearly go back and look at, just COVID aside, how well the country was thriving when Donald Trump was in the Oval Office. Undeniable. It's literally night and day. Complete 180. And anybody else that denies that and talks shit about that, they are just full of shit. And they're just either people that refuse to see the truth because they have just been brainwashed to not like Donald Trump, or they're just not very intelligent people. It is what it is. It is what it is. Right. Every president has fucked up something one way or the other. They just have. But the thing isn't like, even like how they talk about Donald Trump and, oh yeah, the way he treats the immigrants. Ain't nobody deported more motherfuckers than Barack Obama. So the fact that Donald Trump wants to deport motherfuckers, hey, is what it is. Why would you be so opposed to him deporting people when you weren't it was never a point of topic. It was never a subject to bring up about all these people that Obama is deporting. We ought to do something about it. Never brought up. So it is what it is. The biggest thing I saw in this is that it's clearly evident that Donald Trump is the best candidate right now for our country. It's clearly evident that the people agree with this. It's clearly evident that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their time is up. Like I said, I just hope that there's no last minute BS that comes about or last minute scam that comes about for them to try to steal, not necessarily steal this election. Well, they stole it. To steal this election by doing the whole mail-in ballots, letting everybody vote, whether you're a citizen or not. They're going to come up with something. We should delay the election. I don't know what they're going to come up with, but just keep your eyes open, keep your ears open for something to come up to where they're going to say, yeah, we got to do this because what's going on now. We can't change it. We can't fix it. We got to wait. They're going to figure out some type of move to make to try to keep this man from getting back in office. So with that being said, I hope that this video helps somebody become a better version of themselves. And as always, I welcome the fact that if somebody disagrees with what I'm saying and you want to debate, we can absolutely come on here and have a conversation. Absolutely have a conversation about it. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show. Shout out to everybody that let me see if anybody has donated. May have had a couple people. I definitely want to acknowledge y'all. If y'all have, I appreciate you. If you did, it ain't phone. It's doing this crap again. It's not popping up. Is it trying to update the app? I don't know. But please hit that Cash App. I didn't even post it in the chat. I was sleeping. I should have pinned it to the chat, but I didn't. But please hit that Cash App. It's in the description box. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. And more than likely, I'll probably do a show tomorrow. So I'll see y'all till next time. Peace. And I'm out. Y'all have a good night.